Okay, today I'm going to show you how I use a tire plug kit that you can pick up at just about any retail outlet that carries auto supplies. But first I want to cover a few points. Number one, if the puncture is anywhere from this shoulder on up to the rim, so any of the sidewall puncture, do not attempt to repair it. The rubber is just too thin there. There's too much flexing. It's not going to hold, and you could be going down the highway and have a blowout and put you into a very dangerous situation. So from here to here, off limits, don't even try it. Number two is if you've driven the tire flat, even if it's for just 100 feet, 200 feet, don't attempt patching it. Tire may look fine, but you need to take it into a shop, have a mechanic remove the tire from the rim, and look at the inside of the tire. Because if you're running it flat, the sidewall, etc., is rubbing against each other, and it will grind itself apart. And the mechanic could take this off to the rim, reach into the tire, and pull out a handful of rubber powder. At that point, that tire is not safe and cannot be used. And if your puncture is along the inner or outer tread area, when you pull it out, you want to see how long the object is, because if that nail has punctured in there, and as you're driving, the end of it could be sitting and rubbing through the side of the sidewall on the inside where you won't see it. So in that case, that tire will need to be removed from the rim, and this inner sidewall will have to be inspected for damage. That being said, let's get started. With this particular wheel, the problem I was having was a slow leak, and it just kept progressing to the point where finally every morning I would get up and I'd have to fill it up with air. It would be down halfway. Got some Dawn dishwashing liquid, a gallon of water, mixed them together, poured it around the wheel as I'm rolling it, and as it turns out there was a real thin, like, I don't know what it is because I haven't pulled it out yet, metal object puncturing the tire, very small, and that's where the leak is, so that's what we're going to have to patch today. Now let me move on to what tools you're going to need to use. I'm going to go off tripod here for a minute, so excuse any shakiness. The tools you're going to need is this, usually found in a kit if you don't already have it. There's the plug installation tool. Has a little slot for you to thread the plug through, and the end is slotted there, and when you actually pull this out, that big ass plug is going to slide. It's going to open up, and that plug's going to pop through there so it stays in the tire and not in the installing tool. Number two is a reamer. That's to enlarge the hole so that it's the proper size for the plug. It also cleans the hole. You're going to want rubber gloves because this will get very messy. Paper towels would be good thing to have on hand also. You're going to need rubber cement. If you bought the kit, that'll come with it. You're going to need new tire plugs. Now here's some old ones, and these are the consistency of a dried out stale Twizzler. You're going to have a hell of a time getting them slotted through the tool because they're not squishy anymore, and you'll have an even harder time getting them into the tire. So here's a new plug. It's real sticky, it's squishy, and that's what you want. Don't waste your time like I've done in the past is buy a big pack of them, because once you open the package, it's probably a year. After that, they start going bad, and you just have to throw them away. So always just use fresh plugs, buy small quantities. Now I want to cover a point of what type of tire damage is actually appropriate to use this type of repair kit, and that is strictly for punctures. If you have a gash You know, I had one time where I ran over a piece of metal that was in the road and it put a gash in the wheel, into the tire. The mechanic was able to patch that for me, and that tire was just fine. But it was not something that I could patch myself. General rule, what I go by, is if you put in the reamer and the reamer is very loose, like basically not doing anything because the hole is larger than the reamer, proceed with caution. If you can insert a pencil into the hole, I wouldn't caution against that. Anything that size or larger, really you should go to a shop and have it plugged and patched from the inside. I have seen videos where people have taken 2 plugs onto the insertion tool and put them in like that on a larger hole. That is not something I've ever done myself. I cannot attest to that repair, and for that reason I cannot condone that repair. If you want to give it a try, that's up to you. Like I said, if you look on the internet, you will probably see videos where people have done that. But since I've never done it myself, I will say that if it's a hole that the reamer will actually do its job and it just takes 1 plug, you should be safe to go, and that plug will last you just fine. And there is our culprit, that little piece of nail or whatever it is. Okay, you're going to want your tire at full pressure, because if the tire's flat and you're going to be trying to use the reamer or install the plug, you're going to be pushing down on it and the tire's just going to collapse on you. So have the tire up to full pressure. Let me get this out of here. There we go. Now this reamer is not going to go in easily. Like I said, this tool is to clean out the hole and enlarge the hole so that you could get the plug in there. Almost there. Okay, see that? Now, you would never be able to get the plug into that little puncture hole there. So, I'm going to have to use this tool to grind out the opening, and our little bits of rubber coming out along with it. And don't be afraid to get aggressive with it. It's only going to go so far before it's just going to stop grinding. But you don't want to sit there and try to have to insert this plug and the hole's just not big enough, and then you're going to be having a real hard time with it. Okay, that should be good there. You leave the reamer in there, and I'm going to check the tire pressure and add a little more pressure to it, and then get ready to put in the plug. Okay, now you're going to take your plug, flatten out the end a little bit. See what I'm doing here? Pull it through. Do I have it on camera for you guys? There we go. Pull it through. Get it centered. Is that about center? That's about center. Then push it all the way towards the handle. And fold it back a little bit, just makes life easier on you. Because when you go to put it into the tire, kind of out of frame a little bit for you. Stick it in there, it's going to fold up anyway, and you're going to have a doubled over plug inside the tire. You're going to take your plug and your rubber cement. Try to do this for you guys at home so you can see it. And you're just going to slop up that plug real good with the rubber cement. You can even do the tip just kind of as a lubricant in there. And this rubber cement will actually dissolve the outer surface of this plug a little bit. And where we reamed it out is a rough surface in there. And this rubber cement, the melted surface of the plug, etc., will all get into the rough surface of that was left behind after reaming, and it will all bond together. And just like that, the old plugs that were dried out, this will cure in there. Imagine as the tire gets hot as you're driving, it helps that along too. And here's where it will get messy. Wear eye protection or full face shield if you have it, because when I go to put this plug into that hole and the air is rushing out, it's going to spray the glue everywhere. So I'm going to get as close as possible to it here. Alright, and the tough part, get it in there without twisting it. And you want to have it in there so it's 2/3 of the way down. Unfortunately, got a little crooked there. And if you're having trouble putting it in, it just doesn't want to insert, take it back out, grab the reamer, ream it out some more. Do it until it has it actually almost feels loose to you, and then give it another shot. But that's, I would say, is at least 2/3 of the way down. We're not twisting. We just want to hold it straight and then just pull straight up and out. And it leaves the plug behind. That plug went right through that little slot there. This is doubled over. That's plugged good. Now, last but not least on this is considered, what do we have in? Let's see if we have us in frame there. There we go. This is considered a temporary plug. If you read the packaging, it will tell you that this is only to last you until you can drive to the shop to have it repaired properly. Proper repair will be the mechanic will take it off the rim, put in a solid rubber plug after reaming it out some more. Then on the inside of the tire, they will grind it down. They will put a patch over where that rubber plug is. And then they may even put a bigger patch over top of that and seal it all up with some adhesive. That being said, I've patched tires like this for at least 20 years now and never took them in to get patched for real. Because if you go to the mechanic to have them patch it the way I just described to you, it's going to cost you anywhere from, I would say, $30 to $75, and depending on how much life is left on the tires, is it really worth it? Now, you're talking to a guy that, some people drive their cars until the threads are showing on the tires. Me, I drive them until the air is showing on the tires. So I get the max life out of my tires. It was a point where I was driving 45,000 miles a year, so I got every penny's worth out of them. And I've used these plugs, and I have had no trouble at all. Once they're plugged, they last just fine. Now, you will find people who will say, oh, these tag ends, I just leave them on there as additional plugging, whatever. Makes no sense. It's on the outside. I disagree. I feel that these sticking out here, you run the risk that maybe it's going to catch on something and start pulling this plug out. Highly unlikely, but the risk is still there. So I will take a utility knife and I will just cut them level with the threads. All right, so I took a utility knife blade, cut it off, the stubs off fairly close level with the treads, and now I'll put it back onto the van, and I should have no trouble whatsoever from this plug going forward. Well, if you liked my video, and if you found it helpful, Please like, share, and above all, please subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.